Live from Las Vegas at the PCA show.
After 2 years of hiatus, we're back in Vegas.
World's largest cardboard trade show booth. Live here in Martinsville, Indiana. Live from Norwood Royal Cigars.
When you guys said, you know, we want you to come on the show once a month, I was like, dude, this is it.
Happy afternoon here from cloudy Florida.
Happy afternoon.
Happy afternoon.
Coming to you live from the Corona Cigar Company studio.
Come on in, the water's fine.
Good evening,
aficionados,
and welcome to the first fantastic, exciting show of the year. I could not be happier tonight with our special guest, our fantastic sponsor, and I don't know, just one hell of a guy that has been there for us, and we're excited to have you, the owner of Corona Cigar Company. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on and doing what you're doing with your company with us. Thank you. And everybody, thanks. Get your share going. Get your watch party going. Get this out to everybody you know. This is the first show, and it's going to be a doozy. Let me introduce ourselves. For all you newbies, I'm RnA Pecorini. My brother Bob Pecorini.
How you doing, folks?
My cousin Frank.
Yo, yo, yo.
And Kyle Jesso hanging in there.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? And this is much more than just a sponsorship. This has become a beautiful partnership here.
That's right. It really has been. And Jeff, you notice how Ron sidestepped pronouncing your last name?
Once again.
Once again?
Ron, are you in Chicago? You should be able to say that like it's nothing with all the Polish people up there.
Ronnie can't pronounce his own last name.
This is true. This is true. When I hang out with you, I can't pronounce nobody. You scare the crap out of me.
I'm telling you. You know what's interesting, Jeff? It's been almost a year since our first meeting and having you on the show the very first time.
Yeah, it's a few weeks short of it.
And
so listen, I remember it. The reason being is I had to go find a jacket for tonight because the Florida was cold. And last time you did this, I don't know whether it's the name of the show, the Great Lakes Cold Front, bring it freezing to Florida, but it seems to happen. So Happy New Year, guys, and
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I threw together a little clip from that first visit, so I figured let me run that for us because I think everybody got a little memory lane. Here you go.
He's just coming in and out, because that's just the kind of guy he is. He's a hologram.
Bob is a hologram tonight. He'll be a hologram. He's kind of transporting between Chicago.
I'm stuck in the transporter. Scotty, what are you doing?
Beat me up.
He actually, he kind of looks like Star Wars. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You guys are driving me crazy.
Obi-No.
I want to listen to Jeff, but I got to listen to these three clowns here.
I didn't say squat.
Please,
You got an argument with him. God. Oh, you impatient. You I want to say hello to the people first. I think it's always personal that we got to say hello to Barry, to Gary, to Kevin, to Kerr, to Costas, David. I'm just going to go down. Forget about it.
Little Sally has a birthday today.
Well, he just passed, so I'm sorry. He's gone. But anyway, and I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm not going to say it. But I'm going to introduce you to the owner of the Corona Cigar Company, Corona Lounge.
You owe me money.
Hello, Mr. Jeff. Welcome to the madness of the Great Lakes Smoke Shop.
What's happening, fellas? You guys are a ball of laughs, I can tell you that.
We try.
This is the first time I've done a show from this is my little man cave at my house.
Oh.
And what's interesting is behind me, this humidor right here.
Ooh.
That's the humidor that the company started out of, Corona Cigar, right there.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my wife saved it and built this liquor cabinet and stuff around it. But that was actually second humidor. The first humidor was a stereo case.
Well, your wife has got a good taste there.
From,
she sounds like a winner. Keep her.
That was from CAO Cigars back when Jono Osgener was alive. And so that it's kind of cool when I look back and I see that humidor. Anybody or any of our customers that used to buy cigars I had an auto center I worked with my dad, and that was the humidor that pulls cigars out of. So anyway, that's the humble beginnings, right?
There it is.
Nice. Obi no.
Well, you reminded me why we don't plant tobacco in February, because you saw it was so cold that night.
It
was.
Literally, I was inside, and you guys, people didn't. I don't know if you knew that you guys were down in Florida, so you're back in when you're disappearing act there, and you had your heavy coats on. We were in Florida. It was freezing that night.
It was freezing.
It
was 37 degrees that night.
Yeah.
We were cold.
It's only like 20
back.
degrees here, so.
It's nice here, though.
It is nice tonight, that's for sure. And we're enjoying some great bourbon tonight. Are you drinking anything tonight, Jeff?
I am. It was really weird. I was looking at all the bourbons and stuff, and for some reason, I just felt like cognac tonight. So this is our Macau. It's a single barrel cognac that we do. It's an extra old, so it's called XO. 150th anniversary Macau that we do a single barrels of, and it's incredible. We've offered this in some of those packs that we do where we pair the whiskey and spirits. So I don't know if this one's still available online, but it may or may not. I don't remember. But anyway, this cognac, I'll put it up against any XO. It's amazing. So anyway, that's what I'm having tonight.
That's available in the store, though, right?
Yeah, it's in the stores, but I think we have it. I think we have cigar packs with that online too. It's if you just search in the search bar on coronacigar.com, it's spelled funny. It's MEUKAW, so it's spelled a little weird. MEUKOW, and it's an amazing cognac.
You have to try it.
Nice.
Yeah, we're gonna have to try that. I know we're enjoying actually
the fruits from Florida, St. Augustine.
St. Augustine.
Nice.
It's a really nice bourbon.
That's a cool distillery to visit, by the way. St. Augustine.
Yeah.
Actually, if everybody thinks of Walt Disney World and stuff, they come to Florida. St. Augustine, if you're driving down from up north, right off I-95, it's definitely worth taking a day and visiting St. Augustine. And during Christmas, it's amazing, the beautiful Christmas lights and stuff they do. So anyway, anybody that's a tourist driving down from up north, stop by St. Augustine and check out the oldest city.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I know.
Nice.
It is awesome.
It's not too far from here. What is it, about an hour and a half?
Yeah, an hour and a half.
Yeah, we should take the
That's
ride.
not bad at all. So, Jeff, how do you end up actually getting down to where you are in parts of Florida?
When you say how's everything going for us? Everything's going great.
This is Ronnie's way of saying, how did you get to Florida?
How did you get here?
So some people know I was born in Chicago, so I grew up there as a little kid. So it was in first grade when my dad moved the family down from Chicago to Orlando, and I thank him every day for that, for having the foresight to get out of Dodge, if you will. My dad was a mechanic. He had a tow truck, snow plow, all that kind of stuff. So winter times he was very busy and worked real hard, but he had a bad back from an injury, and I just remember him always putting a back brace on in the morning. When it's cold, he just couldn't move around very well. And so he's like, man, I got to get out of the freezing cold. Because when you do have a tow truck or a mechanic shop or snowplow, the worst days of the weather, when they tell you to stay home, those are when those guys go out to work. So those guys that run the, pulling cars out of the ditches and stuff, that's a very noble job, because they're literally saving lives and putting their own life at risk to get people out of these bad pinch spots. But my old man had enough of it and came to beautiful sunny Florida, to Orlando, and I thank him every day.
Indeed, you should. Smart move indeed. That's excellent. So you got down there. What brought you into the cigar world?
So, I had been a long-time cigar consumer, but believe it or not, my first cigar I had at my sister's wedding, and it was actually a cousin that was old enough to be my uncle from Chicago, from Joliet, that corrupted me, and he corrupted me with a fine Swisher Sweet.
What an introduction!
Played with cigars after that, huh?
Yeah, I didn't, believe it or not, after my first little Swisher Sweet Perfecto, I actually kind of liked it, and then I graduated up from there, worked my way up from that to A&C Grenadiers, and then from that, my first box of cigars was a box of Cacique, made by Tropical Tobacco, which is now Aganorsa, and then another box that I bought was a Fuente double Chateau with a cedar wrap on it. And so to me, that was really, really special. I mean, back then, a box of those, by the way, was like $28. So they were really cheap back then. Prices were much less. But yes, that's why I don't laugh at anybody that's starting off with a Swisher Sweet or a Black and Mild or whatever. I've always said from day one, that's how I dipped my toe into the cigar world, and then I moved up from there. And I think that was the normal path to the cigar world for a lot of people. Today, I think there's more of a rapid acceleration into the premium cigars, meaning that their first cigar is probably something like an Acid or a Tatiana Groovy Blue or something like that. Sometimes a flavored cigar. But the guys that smoke those today later work their way up to what's surprising, like some heavy duty cigars. You'll be surprised how many guys that smoke Tatuaje and La Flor Dominicana and stuff like that, and Opus X, and their first cigar was like an infused cigar. So it's always those are very important. And then we see customers too that bounce around from full-bodied cigars to some infused cigars. And so I always say it's like, there's some days you want to have that ice cream with 31 different flavors, and there's other days you want something a little more sophisticated. So that's my journey, condensed down into a minute.
That's right.
Hey,
I didn't know this, Jeff, but Yolanda White's saying that Jeff's a great mechanic.
Oh,
thank you, Yolanda. I still here's the deal: when you have a farm too, you have to be a great mechanic if you're gonna do what we do, which is, I had some guests at the farm today, and was showing them the sewing machines that we use, and those are from the early 1950s. Some of them probably date back to the 40s, and the guy that actually was getting the parts from is in a nursing home where he's very old, and his father's the one that invented the machines. So there is no mechanic that you can call. Matter of fact, there's no how-to video on YouTube. There's no book on how to fix it. So there's certain things when, what we do, especially in the farming side, if I didn't have that mechanical background, there's no way I could do what I do. Now, fast forward to my son he's 16, and he bought his first vehicle, and he bought a 1984 Chevy K5 Blazer. So people that may or may not remember those, that's the old square-bodied Chevy Blazer four-wheel drive. And it's, believe it or not, it's been a lot of fun because this thing needed a lot of work. And so it is a good chance to spend a little time with the old man, showing, letting them see how a couple things are done. So we try to at least teach some of the kids, just the basics of some of the mechanic stuff. So hats off to all the mechanics out there today that are keeping all the cars and trucks running in this world. Because let me tell you, you talk about essential employees. mechanics, doctors, dentists, linemen and stuff like that. These are the guys you need at the end of the day, when the shit hits the fan.
Absolutely.
You need those guys.
Absolutely,
So appreciate all the hard work they do.
No doubt, no doubt.
That's something that the schools really need to take a look at again. They stopped all the trades, the shop classes and all that in the schools, and it's ridiculous. I mean, you can't call a doctor if your lights go out or your pipe is leaking.
The trades are hurting right now. I mean,
Yes.
they're a dying industry, so you can actually get into the trade schools pretty easily and make a ton of money coming out
Yes, you
of an
can.
apprenticeship, because the trades all over the place are hurting really bad.
Anybody could work with their hands are going to make a lot of money in the real near future.
And there's nothing to be ashamed of working the trades. I mean,
Hell no.
I mean,
These guys things have shifted a lot, and I give a lot of credit to guys like Jesse James and these shows that made it, took away some of the stigma that was behind that kind of stuff. Like Orange County Choppers, Dirty Jobs, stuff like that. That showed these guys that were real skilled mechanics and working with metal and stuff like that. And then the other thing that's attractive too, besides the TV shows, now you see these guys that do that kind of work and they're rolling around in $100,000 and $150,000 trucks.
Right.
We're asking how you afford that. And they're like, well, I learned a trade and I worked. And so,
those
I'm glad to see them making money.
And those choppers are works of art. They are absolute works of art.
Well,
so YouTube has helped a lot with this too. Go ahead.
Works of art. This is a work of art, Jeff. Your 25th anniversary stick. Wow. I've got.
So let me tell you about that one.
Yeah, talk to us because we're going to fire one up right now.
So J.C. Newman makes that one in their Nicaraguan factory. J.C. Newman is the oldest cigar company in America. They've got the J.C. Newman factory in Ybor City, Tampa, the great cigar city of Tampa. America's oldest family-owned cigar company, dates back to the late 1800s, a fourth generation company. We're real proud to work with them. They make the American totally by hand in their factory in Tampa. You can take tours of the place too. It's amazing. They use our wrapper on the American, and then they use all American fillers. So I wanted them to do something out of their Nicaraguan factory, which is where they make their Brick House and Perla del Mar and a lot of other cigars. So Omar, who runs that factory, and they have a great inventory of tobaccos. So I wanted to give him a shot at blending some FSG filler with the inventory of tobaccos that they have. So that's what we did, the 25th anniversary Nicaraguan selection with Omar Ortiz and J.C. Newman out of Tampa. And we use it 3 different wrappers. So it's available in a shade-grown wrapper, sun-grown wrapper, and then a broadleaf Maduro. So 3 different varieties. I think we just brought those out. I mean, we had been working on that for 2 years. COVID slowed everything down, especially with the boxes and things like that. So I believe we started selling those right at the end of November, maybe December. But real happy with that cigar, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
Oh, absolutely. We're smoking the Maduro now.
Yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Well, we got to get you some. So the thing about the 20th, and there's a 20th anniversary too. That one's made by Aganorsa, Nicaraguan as well. So here's the thing. Here's what I like to do. Like I'm smoking a 20-acre farm from Drew Estate, Will Herrera blended. Yes. Each one of those factories, whether it's Drew Estate, Aganorsa, Davidoff, J.C. Newman, every one of them has like deep inventories of tobacco. And their tobaccos, what makes cigars different? So you can kind of taste the flavor profile of cigars that come out of Aganorsa, or stuff that comes out of J.C. Newman, or stuff that comes out of Drew Estate or Davidoff. All those guys have an inventory of tobaccos they work with, and they're all a little different. So they have such a good, let's call it, it's like a kitchen, and like having this gigantic pantry with tons of ingredients to work with. So we like to let them run with it. When we supply them with FSG tobacco, it's like, listen, you guys are the experts on blending. Make something great with the tobaccos that you use in your cigars already. And so it actually makes the process easier, and also puts sort of like their own personal signature or flair on those type of cigars. So each and every cigar that we have that uses the FSG tobacco, every one of them is different And that's the
Right.
reason why it's easy for it to make it different.
Right.
So you never tell them what you're kind of looking for in a specific blend?
Sometimes, but I don't like to give them too much guidance. And the reason being is that my experience with anybody who's like a great artist or like, you know, a metal worker or whatever, you kind of know the work they do already before you go to them. And it's like sometimes giving them the least direction as possible lets them really shine with their own skills. So of course we validate all the blends and they never just hand you one cigar and say, this is it.
Right.
They always work on a lot of different ones. So you're going through a lot of different expressions of what they come up with. Now we will try to obviously give them a little direction on certain things, like for example, on the 25th anniversary with the shade wrapper, we don't want that to be an overpowering cigar. But also that factory's, it's not really known for overpowering cigars. I mean, they do have some strong ones, but we give them a little bit of guidance, but not too much. I don't like in any way holding back on their own creativity.
Right. Right. That makes sense. It's that old creative expression.
Yeah, like you can tell an artist, paint me a picture, but say maybe a landscape, and just give them carte blanche, you know, whether it's a tree or a flower, you decide, you know.
Well, yeah, let them put their own twist on it. Let them put their signature on it.
Most of the times I've done it, by the way, I've been they've delivered even better than what I expected. Whether it's on a cigar or anything, design, drawing, or anything else. So that's just been my experience in life on that kind of stuff.
Frank, you had a question about
which one?
The name.
Oh yeah, this is interesting because I'm like, you know, I never did ask Jeff this question, and it might seem so obvious, but how did you come up with the name Corona Cigar Company? I mean, what inspired that?
Okay, so yep. So I got to give some credit to college during the marketing days. One of the things that it's sort of marketing 101. When you have a company name, it should be able to tell any consumer what it is you do. So you know, sometimes people use acronyms for stuff, or their company name is, you're like, well, what do they do? Because the name doesn't tell you what it does. So it was very important for us to have a name for the company that somebody looks at it, they know exactly what it is. We sell cigars. Secondly, the heritage of cigars is obviously a Latin culture. So we wanted to come up with a name that was, you know, in Spanish, but also one that any gringo could pronounce, because it's very important too. Because if you cannot pronounce it, you can't remember it. And that's something that's, I'll give you a really good example of that. Scotch whiskey. There are some really good single malt whiskeys, but because of the name, because people can't say it, they just don't order it, and they just don't remember. I mean, Bruichladdich is a good one. Great whiskey, but they first off, it doesn't look that. It's like my last name. It looks really hard to say. But once you hear someone say it, it's, you know, like, Borysiewicz. Oh, that's pretty easy. When you look at it, it looks like the freaking Polish alphabet or whatever. So when you look at Bruichladdich, look at that word. It's a big, long name. And if you look at it, like, man, I didn't even say that. But if you say Macallan, everybody and their brother can say Macallan. They can say Glenlivet. And it's easy to remember that. So it's very important on a name. And on cigars, it's the same way. You come up with, there's only one brand that really, well, there's two. But Tatuaje is one that when people saw it, they didn't know what the hell it was. But it makes sense on what it is, you know, tattoo, and you know, Pete Johnson has tattoos all over the place, so it made sense. But El Luense from Nick Milano, that's a hard one to say. It's hard to pronounce. I'm not so sure how many consumers can, you know, they might like the cigar, but the problem is that it's hard for them to remember. So unless they save the band, they'll come in the store and say, oh, I can't remember the name of that one. So it was really important for us to have a name that's easy to say, easy to spell, and easy to remember. And also, funny story, true story, the logo for Corona Cigar Company I bartered that for an oil change with one of our customers. This was this was back in
You got a good deal on
1996.
that.
Now, yeah, I did. 1996 is when, I mean, graphic art programs were extremely basic back then.
Yes.
But he did a great job. It was, you know, somebody working out of his house, like a side gig for him. And his mother was my English teacher in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And I still connect with her on Facebook too, so it's pretty cool. So she's an old school teacher, and her husband, Mr. Mitchell, designed that logo for me, and we did an oil change on his car.
That's awesome.
Great.
I thought there was something around the fact that Corona also means crown in English. It's that the translation is crown.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a crowning achievement or being crowned, like wearing a crown. It's kind of royalty. So I put you in that royalty kind of class. Just, you know,
Yeah. He's the king of
We
Central
weren't
Florida.
thinking. Yeah, we weren't thinking royalty back then. We were just thinking something that was traditional, something that was timeless and old school.
Right.
So that's more the lines we were thinking. We had no idea that that was not in the cards. Remember, we started out of my house. Very humble beginnings.
Which is
And
awesome.
look at you
It is
now.
cool.
I mean, it's unbelievable what you built since
It
then.
truly is.
Well, it's a
It truly
team.
is.
It's not. It's
No,
not.
it's a
It's
team,
not
your wife,
the
the
Jeff
whole
Borysiewicz
staff.
show.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, your locations, I've been to 2 of them, and they are absolutely hands down tops. They're tops. They're awesome. Your staff is unbelievable. They take care of the people. They know how to treat the people. Both places are so enjoyable to be in.
Yeah.
You're welcomed, and
Yeah, it's the culture.
atmosphere.
I think it's the culture that you've created too, Jeff.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, what the thing is, like I said, it's not the Jeff Borysiewicz show. It's the Corona Cigar Company show. We got a lot. We got 125 employees plus farm employees too. But there is a culture, that's for sure.
Right.
And part of that culture stems from being in Orlando. We are in the service industry. This is where the mouse is. So Walt Disney, the senior, Walt Disney, the founder, had a very great vision of what it's supposed to be. And, you know, when you go to Walt Disney, I don't know, it's not quite the same today as what it used to be in 1970, mid 70s, meaning that in the 70s, you would never see a light bulb out ever.
Right.
Little things like maintenance was key, because the mindset of Walt Disney was when you came in, every single guest that comes in, like if you work at It's a Small World, that song playing 24 hours or whatever, not 24 hours a day, but from the time
My
you
daughter
start
went
your
through
shift.
there 100 times. I know every word.
Right. So you ride that ride and you're like, dude, this song is like driving me crazy. It doesn't matter. The people that came through it, it's the first time hearing it. It's a little girl coming to see this, you know, this is new to her. So everything needs to be that first impression perfect for every single guest. And back when Disney World first opened too, you could smoke cigarettes in the park. So
Right.
people, you know, unfortunately just throw their cigarette butts on the ground. So there's always a guy running around sweeping up cigarette butts. And this goes to respect, and why it's important that that job in the park, they did a study, and that job in the park had more interaction with guests than any other position in the entire park, period.
Wow.
The guy sweeping up the cigarette butts. Because everybody asks, hey, how do I get to Haunted Mansion? Hey, how do I get to the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride? I mean, I'm dating myself because that ride's not even around anymore. But this is the guy that everybody stopped for directions. Where's the restrooms? Now, if you had some grumpy SOB that was like, I don't know where it is, you know,
Right.
that is going to kill the experience. You're in Fantasyland, man. This is everything. Everything's perfect at Disney World, right? That guy needs to smile all day long and give directions while he's sweeping those cigarette butts. Now, if you don't have the person who has a great, that's character, right?
Right.
And you can train people to do anything, but you got to have good people to start with.
Right.
And that's what was important, because every position, I say this all the time, every position, every company, the more mundane the task is, or the more that task is no one wants to do it, the more important that job is. I don't know if you guys have ever worked in a restaurant. I waited tables when I was in college.
Yep.
And I remember the dishwasher was sick one time, and the owner of the restaurant asked if I'd wash dishes that night. I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I did it. Let me tell you, that is a hard freaking job, especially come closing time and every freaking 6-pan, 4-pan. That refers to the size of the metal pan.
Right.
They use these line cook guys, man. They're just throwing that shit at you. And I'm talking about, and you're covered, you're wet, you got to clean up. That is a hard job. But let me tell you, if you don't have the guy washing dishes, a restaurant will stop.
Right.
It's no different than the guys that are picking up the garbage.
Yep.
You lose the guys that take your garbage out or pick up garbage. A city will shut down. Society will shut down. People nowadays won't even know how to function.
Right.
Us country boys and hillbillies will know how to start a fire and burn your trash. But anyway, but in normal society, it's like you'll have rats and you'll have freaking disease and shit going sideways real quick. So I just remember that. That's why everybody, like I said, some of the jobs that people might make fun of. It's like, dude, he's very, very important, and make sure he knows that.
No question about it. It's a magical world, even at your places. I can tell you that. They have picked up. They understand what they have to do, and I know when I'm at your places, I'm in seventh heaven, man. That is a magical world for me.
And those cappuccinos.
Those
cappuccinos.
All right, so real quick on the coffee. So my wife's from Scotland. In Europe, Illy is the brand, right?
Yep.
So that's a luxury brand. So we don't sell Starbucks or anything else. We serve Illy coffee.
Yep.
It's really, really good. And so good equipment, good coffee, good cappuccinos.
That's right. Absolutely.
We always get one. Every time we're there, we get one or two.
Right.
Besides a drink, of course, and the cigars.
And the cigars. So we
go so well with the cappuccino. I mean, it really, it's a beautiful pairing with a cigar, a cappuccino, and your atmosphere.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's the breakfast beginning. So that's our breakfast menu.
Yeah.
11 o'clock, you start building up, get you a nice little space side single malt. And by dinner time, you might be hitting some Lafroigs or some Buffalo Trace or something. Some Eagle Rares. So we like to have we have you'd be surprised, man. People are smoking cigars from the time we open till the time we close. That's 9 a.m. until 2 a.m.
Well, we know that.
That's Bob.
We know that. We've been there at 9 a.m. We've been there till 11, 12 o'clock at night.
We turn into pumpkins at 12. So
but last Saturday, we were over
we were over in Sand Lakes.
Sand Lakes.
And
it looked like it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
It was
shoulder to shoulder in there.
It was packed.
Wow. What a place.
We saw Howard, of course. Howard was there. I think, does he have like his own?
My dad.
He lives there, right?
He does.
Yeah, he does. Howard's always all over the place. But what's funny is my dad was one of my biggest supporters on Corona Cigar. And I remember when I opened the Sand Lake store, he's like, how late you going to be open? I said, we're going to be open until midnight and then 2 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. He's like, who the hell's going to smoke cigars at midnight? All right, we're going to find out, right? Yeah. And so if I had H from the Sand Lake store one time, a couple years ago, he was, Jeff, man, we could go 24 hours. And I said, yeah, but I don't think we need to do that. But he's right. I guarantee we could stay open 24 hours.
Yeah,
and we'd have customers there.
Oh, yeah.
But no,
we're not private membership key. They come in. They're in. You're going to get people out there. There's no question.
That's trouble. It. That's all.
That's true.
Yeah, that's just trouble.
You can have a kiosk machine outside.
Almost like an ATM for cigars.
Yeah. That's it. Put your money
selection.
The cigar vending.
Lawsuits in my back of my head.
Well, you got 3 amazing places. Any thoughts of a 4th one coming up by any chance? Or?
Oh yeah. We've been trying to open a 4th one for the last 6 months. It's going, but it's damn sure going slow. There's something called the government that slows everything down. But it's going to be in Sarasota, downtown Sarasota.
All right.
There's just some special use permit stuff that's got to be finalized. So it's just a process. Like I said, anything that has to do with government, especially during COVID season, things tend to work much slower. So it's hopefully in February we'll be able to start actually doing construction on that. But that's probably That's 8 months late, just to let you know. So
Wow.
during COVID, we remodeled the bathrooms at the Sand Lake store, and that took a year. And that's because of, it's ridiculous, not because of trade or anything like that. It was all because of permits. You had nobody working in the building permits departments. So that's what's holding up a lot of stuff right now.
And you just remodeled.
And the bathrooms over here in
Heathrow. You just remodeled. They're beautiful.
They're really nice, by the way.
Thank you. But that was an easier one because we didn't have to move anything. Sand Lake, we literally made the lounge bigger, so that required permits. You can remodel without permits because you're not moving any fixtures. But the stuff when you physically remodel, then that's when you got to get the county involved. And let me tell you, it is. That's why when you see places say coming soon, you're like, what the hell is taking so long? I can guarantee you, it's because they're waiting on the permits.
The permits. Everything's about the permits.
Don't they say, though, if you want to get something done, you just hired the Disney crew because they can get things done in like a month?
So let me tell you about that.
I got a crew in New York.
Hold on.
Real quick.
Yeah, that's true, too. You can always do it that way. But when you run a decent sized company with a lot of employees, you got to do everything by the book. Never, ever try to do anything not because as soon as somebody is a disgruntled or something, whatever, you're going to get a phone call and they're going to. So we do everything. We're spick and span clean. There's no skeletons in our closet. But you mentioned Disney. When Walt Disney World built Disney in Florida here, he has his own place. It's called Reedy Creek. So guess what? They do their own permits. They got their own police. They got their own fire. They're their own water treatment, their own sewer. He was smart. He came from California and he knew how messed up it was there. So when he did it here,
actually, he came
seriously,
from Chicago.
he's like, he probably learned it first there, right? Chicago style.
Then he took the smarts.
And then he found the government. Yeah, so he's like, hell with this. I know how to get around it, and that's called Reedy Creek, which is their own district. So they're their own county commissioners, if you will. Nice. So that's why that's why Disney can do what they do. Smart.
So are you hinting at that we're going to see a Corona City coming soon? Well, so you can just make your own permits.
all the houses will look like cigar boxes.
Yeah.
So if you're going to break ground,
this is a much smaller industry than most people know.
Yeah. So if we're breaking ground in February, let's just say in a perfect world, what do you think actually opening would be? Sometime in the summer, or
normally it takes about 6 months to build a store, minimum. But you just don't know what the supply chain hiccups could be. You got to be real flexible when you're building stuff right now. So if you're dead set on one type of material, one particular tile or one particular finish or whatever, you better have some alternatives because right now, depending on where the stuff comes from, you got to be willing to have like, kind, and quality, if you know what I mean, because it's just you don't know where the hangups are going to be. So we'll see. I always say, listen, when I was younger, I used to get wound up on stuff. Now I don't. It's like when it does, it'll happen when it happens, and just it'll work. If it's my buddy Kiki Berger, he said a long time ago, he was always like, to be or not to be, and that's just the way it is. So it's either meant to be or it's not meant to be. This one will happen though. But I've had stores in the past or locations in the past that we looked at, and it just wasn't meant to be. There's too many. Opening up what we do, it's like threading a needle. There's a lot of things that have to be right because liquor licenses. There's a lot of rules in regulations. You got to have landlords that are willing to have alcohol and tobacco and smoking. Right. So. There's a lot of things that have to go right, and it's got to be right location. So it's one thing to find a right spot, but you better make sure you can smoke in it. You better make sure you're not going to have a landlord tell you got to stop in a year from now because a neighbor complains. And then you got to make sure that if you're doing liquor, that there's not a school or a church or another 4COP, which is like a liquor store near you, because then you can't do what we do.
Gotcha.
Is it going to be a freestanding building or in a strip mall?
No, it's in downtown Sarasota. So it's another. It'll be, I don't know, about 8,500 square feet. So it's another big store like our Tampa store, but in a similar type of building too.
Wow, beautiful.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Well, before we get too far into this, I want to take a moment and right here promote Jeff's website, the cigar or coronacigar.com. There, or right above Ronnie's head, if you can see it.
Well, Ronnie's got his big bald head.
We're from the Corona.
That's all right.
Studios.
We can see it perfectly. It looks great.
I'm sitting real low,
great.
guys. Real low. So before we continue, Frankie, you know what that time is, right?
I know. I knew that Ronnie was going to tell me. Let's take a word from our sponsors.
Cigar in the Bottle is 2 palate-pleasing gifts in 1. A specially blended Grand Pommier XS VSOP Cognac is elegantly contained in patented numbered bottles. Winner of back-to-back medals at the LA Spirits Awards, Cigar in the Bottle inventor Forbidden Johnny teams up with Vartan and Hendrik Kellner for this custom-blended Vartan Reserva cigar, well-preserved in a hand-blown glass chamber featuring Boveda 2-way humidification.
This is Phil Morgan, General Manager of Missouri Meerschaum Corncob Pipes in Washington, Missouri. Our mission since 1869 has been to produce great smoking pipes that anyone can afford. We guarantee our pipes won't be your most expensive, but they just might be the ones you smoke the most. At Missouri Meerschaum Company, we don't just sell our corncob pipes, we grow them, make them, and smoke them. Missouri Meerschaum, Washington, Missouri, since 1869.
At Norwood Royal Cigars, we have the biggest walk-in humidor in the Midwest. Our 1,500 square foot humidor is home to almost 4,000 different cigars that will meet the need of any cigar enthusiast. We have boutique blends to the more traditional selections and everything in between. From the novice beginner to the aficionado, the knowledgeable staff at NRC will find the perfect cigar for you. Located on the northwest side of Chicago, we want to be your shop for all your cigar wants and needs. As always, at Norwood Royal Cigars, light it, smoke it, love it.
RnA Treasures out of Tampa Bay, Florida. The last of a legacy. The last of an inventory of Thomas Cristiano in a warehouse where everything is aged and well kept for all your pipe and smoking needs. Loyalty, passion, courage. These are the founding principles of K by Karen Berger Cigars. The Maduro, the Habano, and the newly rated 93 by Cigar Journal Connecticut. Do yourself a favor and check out this wonderful line of cigars that come from a completely linear company from seed to your hands.
And we're back.
Hey.
Here we go.
And by the way, this is a delicious cigar, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I really am. It's wonderful. Wow.
Bob enjoys every cigar at your place, no matter what. He calls.
I do.
Check this out. I said, but you're down there. I don't get what you get. You got to send them up to me so I can enjoy it.
You got to come down here.
Yeah, you can't send them in the wintertime. They dry out by the time they get to us, Ron, you know.
We'll have to cook it a little bit longer. What can we do?
I think we just need to go to Florida.
We need to move here.
That's the
it.
answer.
That's it.
What I did.
Yeah. What are you going to do? You know, easier said than done, but you don't know. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how.
It's easy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Jeff, they keep ribbing me. I don't know. What am I going to do? It is what it is right now. You know, one guy's over the hill, the other guy is over watching the guy over the hill down there. You know, we'll get there.
All I hear is jealousy in his voice. So
yeah, that's all I see. And is that color shifting? That green? What's that green?
It's green with envy.
You come down here, and you got Jeff's place. I mean, this is paradise.
Yeah. I mean, it's a stop. No matter anytime I go through Orlando, it is a stop. Anytime I have to go through there, I mean, it's a one-stop shop for anything. You have to go there. I mean, you're a cigar lover, you're a cappuccino lover, you're a whiskey lover. Jeff has it for you, and if he doesn't have it, well, you're not into any of those things. So.
No, you might as well go home.
We don't want you here.
Go back to where you came from.
So what happens is, a lot of guys when they take the family on a vacation in Orlando, and we're like the one getaway night where the guy's like, hey, man, that's how the wife is like, we're gonna go to Orlando, but they got an awesome cigar place there. They're like, so they're like, okay, so we do. You'll be surprised how many times we, if someone's here for a week, there's one night that hey, they're leaving the resort and they're coming to have a cigar in the with all
The
their
real
friends
resort.
where
The
they meet them
real
online.
resort.
Yeah. The Disney World of Cigars.
There you
Yes,
go.
yes.
So Jeff, I have to admit, we were down there recently, and you did a cookout with the most amazing meat that I've tasted in my life. How did you get involved with the meat industry? Because the hamburgers were to die for. I can tell you that.
All right.
That was absolutely.
I'm glad you enjoyed them. Because I enjoyed cooking those too. Matter of fact, if you plan your trip right, we're going to be. I did, and we made all those. So we're going to be doing that again here this month because it's we do our end of the year party for all our staff. We used to do it all at once together in downtown store, but during COVID, obviously we couldn't do that. So I did five individual events at each store. So, but next starting in the next week or two, I'll be doing those again, cooking for the staff and any customers are there too. But how do we get into the beef thing? So it's all because of cigars. That's the whole reason we got into that. It's true story. When I started the Florida Sun-Grown Tobacco Farm in Claremont, when we were done with the crop, you've got guys that you have invested time and they've got a job with you and they like working there, right? So when you're done with the crop, you're like, well, okay, I'll see you next year type of thing. And I really didn't like that. Two reasons: because the guys wanted to continue to work, and secondly is that next season then we're probably not going to get them back because they got to go get a job somewhere, and then now you got to start from scratch to train people. So I needed to figure out how do I keep the farm to keep some key people employed year round. So we needed to diversify a little bit, and so that's when we started with the beef cattle, and so it was totally just for that reason. Like, okay, so when we're done with tobacco, because even though when you're growing tobacco, the field has tobacco in it for about 90 days, there's still 60 days of prep and another 30 days of what we call cleanup afterwards, because you got to pull all the irrigation and everything else up. So really, that takes you about 6 months out of the year. And I used to grow only one season, spring. So I'm like, all right, let's find something to do. So we got into the cattle business, and that way guys can, cut trees and repair a fence and stuff like that. Just a couple key guys, right? And then later, once I had a crop get destroyed by weather, I switched to doing 2 crops a year, 2 smaller crops a year. So now we're year round at the farm.
Right.
So that's how the cattle side of it got into it. The good part about the cows is that one guy, and that guy's me, can actually take care of a lot of cows for the most of the year. We have about 400 head, and for most of the times they take most of the time they take care of themselves. But in the wintertime, you gotta feed them hay. Even though we're in Florida, the grass stops growing in the winter, so you do have to feed them hay during the winter. And then once a year, you got to round them up and replace their ear tags and give them their vaccines and worm them and stuff like that, and then sell off the calves. So when we do that, we hire cowboys. They're called day working cowboys. And then also the cowboy community is it's not you call neighbors up, because cows can get out, right? I mean, matter of fact, last night I got a call from the sheriff's office up there in Sumter County. There's a cow on the road. They thought it was mine. It's not. But anyway, those are the things that happen at midnight. And so you need to make sure that you got guys that you can call, say, hey man, can you go see if that's, my cow or a neighbor's car or whatever. So you do rely on a community. Right. And that's why farming communities, that word community is important. Historically, farming communities, everybody knew each other, right? Because if your cow's on the road, it could be yours, it could be your neighbor's, it could be whatever, and that neighbor might not be there or whatever. So you go, get that cow back into some pasture so it doesn't cause a car accident. Right. And then you fix the fence. That's sort of what, that's what neighbors do. And I mean, that's the way it used to be in the old days too. You got a flat tire, some good Samaritan would pull over the side of the road and help you change a tire. So that's still how it kind of is in the, let's say in the cattle business, is that the guys that have cows in the area know each other. And so, you gotta, if you get the call, you go out there and help. So that's what we do. That's how we got in that. So During COVID, the beef industry, they're running out of beef and stuff in the stores. I'm like, shit, I got tons of cows. So we started working with a local processor 2 years ago, and we started pulling some of our best calves and then raising them and then sending them to the processor. And that's how we got direct from ranch to table on our beef.
Wow.
But we do around 16 cows a year from processing, meaning we raise them and then actually process them and sell the halves of half a steer. So that's a smaller side of it. The other side is really just selling the calves off, and those go off to the Midwest where the finishers are, the stockyards and things like that, where the processors are. So Florida's called a cow-calf operation, and that's where a lot of your beef are born and raised and then finished in the Midwest.
Wow,
So
you guys are like the Yellowstone of Central Florida.
So Jeff, are you Rip in that scenario? Are you Rip?
Yeah, we're not taking anybody to the train station. But
no stops at the train station.
The Everglades swamps.
It's funny. Yeah. Well, yeah, we do have one of the ranches is in the green swamp. So literally, if we needed to get rid of somebody, you could. But the thing is that we don't have, well, then you got wild pigs out there. But the vultures and coyotes would get you first. But there's a place in Florida called the Desert Ranch, and it's between the Space Coast area and the Orlando International Airport. And it's the two largest cattle producers in the state of Florida: Seminole Indian tribes and the Desert Ranch. The Desert Ranch is the Mormon ranch. So the Church of Latter-day Saints owns. Oh yeah. So it's really, the Mormons are some of the largest owners of farmland in the United States, and then Bill Gates, of course, because he wants to control everything. But anyway, but it's really interesting because you got Bill Gates who wants to control everything, and the whole reason the Mormons are in on farming is because they knew that in the future that food is what's essential and can be weaponized, right?
Right.
So when the shit hits the fan, the Mormons are the ultimate preppers. So that's why they have so much farmland. And like I said, look it up. It's pretty cool. Just look up Desert Ranch, Florida. They have a really cool website. And I admire what they do. I admire their operation. The church uses it as a lot of times as a helping hand up for some of the church members that might have problems, and it's hard to abuse drugs and alcohol when you're thrown out on a ranch and you're going to work every day and there's no liquor store and there's no drug dealers. So sometimes they use it. They call it a helping hand up instead of hand out. So anyway, Desert Ranch, cool place. Florida Seminole Indian tribe, another great cowboy nation.
Oh wow,
that's really awesome. Thank you for the info.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was great.
Jeff is like an encyclopedia. It's great having him
just
on.
on certain things.
and he's a jack of all trades. He does it all. I mean,
I know.
just a handful, just enough to survive.
Jeff, what kind of events do you? I know we just talked about the cooking, but any events that you want to mention for our audience to listen to or get involved with?
Yeah. So the plan this year is to get Barn Smoker back on track to do it in the spring.
Oh yeah,
we haven't announced
that.
Oh yeah.
Well, we haven't made the announcement yet. Drew Estate does that because that's their event. So we're trying to get that back into the normal rotation where we sort of kick off the Barn Smoker season.
Right.
Hopefully it'll happen this year. We're prepared for it. We're preparing for it to happen. But this whole Drew Estate's a very cautious company when it comes to COVID, and everything's very unpredictable with the way things work. But we're not unpredictable. We will prepare for it. But if who knows what's going to happen with what's the new thing? Flu-rona, I guess.
Flu-rona. Or my Sharona.
Unfortunately,
and Finch.
The unfortunate is I got hit with that variant, so that's why I am away from Ronnie and the rest of the crew right now myself.
But we live in a free state. We live in a free state.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that you don't know what's going to happen because there's plenty of people have different predictions on what's going to happen. So we'll see. how it plays out. I'm not going to play Nostradamus here.
No.
But,
well, at least your
what's gonna
governor
happen.
is going to give the people of Florida and businesses a chance to survive and succeed.
Yeah, that's the most important part, because in Florida we really have a great governor, and
The best.
I think it's proven that if you people aren't stupid. They know. I mean, if you're sick, you're gonna stay home, and if you need to take some precautions here, but you don't need to shut everything down. There was a lot of very let me tell you, in the beginning too, we had some really weird rules here in Florida too, and I'll tell you what, you could legally sit down, have a drink at the restaurant next door to us. Literally, I mean, we're talking about 6 feet away. It was legal to sit outside, have a drink, and eat. But if you had the drink on the table 6 feet over at Corona Cigar, it was illegal. Now, this is like, there is no science that's going to say that you're going to get. It's risky to sit here in front of Corona Cigar, but if you're sitting in front of a Mura sushi restaurant next door, you're totally safe. That's just not true. And so we had to, push back on that, because it was like ridiculous. You could go everywhere, but Walmart. I mean, the craziest thing, we didn't do it in Florida, obviously, but other places. Walmart had the grocery section open, but had yellow tape saying you couldn't go into the hardware section. Well, what the hell? Then please, that makes no sense at all, right? So we did have to push back on that at first, because there were these bad rules. But Governor Ron DeSantis has really been a great governor for Florida, and we're open. And I think Florida's proving to the other states that it can be done responsibly, and we should be a role model for the other states.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's definitely the best governor in the whole country. There's no question about it.
It's nice to have him on our side.
Yes, it is.
Besides the barn smoke, anything else that you might be thinking of? Event-wise?
Well, we're doing all the whiskey events that we continue to do a lot of educational seminars with the spirits and cigars and things like that.
Yeah, I think we're attending this.
So the best way
Thursday we'll be at your place tasting.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, by the way. I can't really tell you exactly what's going on that one, because it's a surprise for the people to come. You're going to be doing a lot of blind tasting of single malt scotches. It's a real good company that's putting it on. So. But the best thing for people to do is coronacigar.com, go to the events section, or make sure you get on our email list, just because we do so many events. In between Davidoff, Tampa, and our 3 stores in Orlando, there's a lot of them going on. So the best thing is just make sure to stay up to date with that, and then our Facebook pages. But Facebook's a little funny, that unless you go to Corona Cigar on Facebook, we'll make posts on there, and you usually won't see them unless you go to look, because Facebook is an advertising-driven. It's really weird. In your feed, you'll see sponsored ads, sponsored content, but for cigars, you can't do advertising.
That's right.
We can't. So we can't push, like, hey, we're doing a cigar event. We can't push that through your feed. So you have to literally go look yourself at Corona Cigar or Corona Cigar on Facebook. But again, at coronacigar.com with the events, and sign up for the emails. That's the best way for us to communicate with you. Because really, it's advertising just doesn't exist.
Or just hang out at the lounge all the time. You can just hang out there all the time, and then you're there for the event.
From 9 to 2 a.m. I mean, what can you miss?
But the problem is we do so many of these, is that you can miss out on some cool stuff. And there's certain ones that always sell out kind of quickly, especially anything we do at McAllen and Balvenie. Those two, always buy your tickets, because they're going to sell out. Because, I mean, face it, when we do that, if the ticket's $100 or $50, if it's $100, you get a bottle of booze with all the. I mean, you really get some. I mean, they're pouring some expensive whiskeys, right? Plus, you're smoking like a Davidoff FSG, so you're smoking an expensive cigar to begin with. You're going to get some real expensive whiskey to drink, and then the people get a bottle of single malt with them. Now, those are the ones that are ticketed, that are if it's $100 or more, that's going to include a bottle. But the other stuff, like if it's $30, $40, $50 ticket, the amount of whiskey you get, the expenses, it's a bargain. So you're going to get way more than that. So that's why those events tend to sell out real fast. So that's why it's best to get on the email list, so because we do have sometimes people like, oh shit, I didn't know about it, man. And then we want to keep people happy. So anyway, that's the best way.
Well, we didn't get tickets for Thursday. Can we still get in?
Yeah. Tell them Jeff sent us.
That's right.
Show up with your Great Lakes Smoke Show gear.
Yeah, oddly enough, it doesn't work because I'm not, so when you say, hey, once it's sold out, I got called and they're like, dude, we don't have any more seats. Where can we put them? So I don't have the magic button for that.
We'll sit on the curb. I don't care.
Yeah, well, that's
usually where I wind up anyway at the end of the night.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that's as much power as I can yield. I can get you out on the curb, but that's not too impressive. But so that's why it's always good to get those early.
Well, speaking of great swag, I mean, Jeff, of course.
Were we talking about swag?
Swag. Well, he's talking about cool
Swag.
giveaways.
Well,
swag.
yeah.
I mean, you gotta. I got this on here. Okay, guys.
Oh yeah.
Zoom in on that. There you go. Look at that etching. That looks awesome.
So let me explain those glasses real quick.
Oh,
those Glencairn glasses, those were something that they're from Scotland, okay? And so the guys that were doing single malt whiskeys, that was the glass to use at the distilleries in Scotland. You started seeing them here a few years ago, but so that's why we specifically chose that glass. It's made just for they call it nosing whiskey because it's designed so you can really, because when you're tasting good whiskey, what you want to do first is nose it, right?
Yep.
Before you take a sip, just nose it. Let that get that, because the aroma and it's like a cigar. You smell it, and that's half of your taste is really in your your smell. So it's meant to nose, and then you drink the whiskey, and so those are special tasting glasses. So whenever we do our whiskey packages, and all our whiskey packages are exclusive Corona cigar barrels that we purchase and work with the distillers and the master distillers. So when we put those packages together with the whiskey and the cigars and those special Glencairn glasses, so you really are set like a pro, and you've got some really the whiskeys we have are just they're real special, and we're fortunate to get those whiskeys because a lot of the supply's been real tough on a lot of these bourbons and stuff, but we still get taken care of by the distillers because there's like that old Barbara Mandrell song where, she was country when country wasn't cool. Well, we were bourbon when bourbon wasn't cool. So fortunately, those guys, they remember that, and we've been a real good. And actually, we need to give credit to our customers for this too. This is hard to explain, but imagine you are with the Buffalo Trace Distillery or with Macallan or with, Jim Beam or whatever, and you're trying to do an educational seminar on your products, and you go to some bar and it's like, dude, man, this guy over there's drunk. This guy's yelling over here. You got freaking music in the back that's thumping through your chest. And here's some brand ambassador, master distiller, like, Jimmy Russell or something like from Kentucky that's trying to compete with all that and educate you guys. So our setting is perfect for it because when these guys come down, whether it's from Kentucky or from Scotland, we have, it's our customers that are the audience that are soaking this stuff up and appreciating it. Because, there's these guys, they got things to do, right? They really are distillers. So when they come to do this, they would like, at least if they're taking this journey and doing the brand is spending the money on all this, that you have an audience that appreciates it. Yep. And our customers appreciate it, and they really learn about it. And that's why Corona Cigar is actually a leader, national leader. We're probably number one on certain brands of whiskey in the entire country. And so it's because we've cultivated a following of people that really do appreciate it. They're whiskey aficionados or advocates. They really understand it, and that's why these brands do so many of these events with us, because they know that we have customers that appreciate it, that will spend the money on buying those drinks as well, and they're there to not get shit-faced drunk and act stupid. They're there to appreciate the whiskey, because there's a lot of hard work that goes into what these guys did. You can be talking to, Jimmy Russell, Eddie Russell, or any of these other distillers. They remember, when that stuff was bottled. They remember, I remember that was back, 12 years ago we were doing that, blah, blah, blah. This is stuff that they actually do, right? So it's not like some widget machine. You know,
Right.
the distilling of whiskey is somewhat similar to kind of what goes into making cigars. It's not quite it's not nearly labor as intensive, but it's still a craft, and it's still you know, hands-on, and believe it or not, there's not a lot of guys that it doesn't take a big crew to run a big distillery, but so the guys that are there are attached to a lot of the products that are in those barrels. So anyway, we do real well with those, and and a big thank you to the Corona Cigar customers for being such good students, if you will, for when these guys do come to town and put on these whiskey seminars.
Yeah, last night we were sitting there, and there's a guy behind me ordering some whiskey, and we got into a whole discussion about it. You know, it was just like, okay, let's talk bourbon, you know, and for like 15 minutes straight, we were just talking whiskey.
That's awesome.
You know, that's what it's all about. I mean, there's nothing better than a well-educated consumer.
Now, for
that appreciates the product.
For good handcrafted stuff, can you show off that ashtray, Frank, that you got from Corona too? Check out this ashtray from Corona.
Beautiful ashtray. Oh my God.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
So
look at that.
Let me tell you, we had a hard time getting this stuff in. Everything took a year later, because unfortunately, it's a product of China, because we don't have a lot of that industry doesn't exist in America anymore.
No.
But anyway, so those took a while. Everything that has to do with swag like that, that's why you saw a lot of out of stocks in the industry. And but yeah, we're glad to get that in, because it seems like we've been waiting forever. I got a really cool ashtray we're working on too. I don't want to tell you about it yet, because hopefully it gets done. But if this thing gets done, it'll be my favorite ashtray.
All right.
2 years on this thing.
This is so nice, we won't even use it.
Exactly.
We're using this other one.
I might frame it.
It's an art piece.
I might frame it.
Actually, we should put it up on the wall. Yeah,
that's it.
We can hang it up.
Jeff, what is
Please use it. Everything's meant to be used.
Yes.
What does the?
By the way, I tell people that all the time, because sometimes people will buy a cigar and they'll be like, "Oh, I want to save it." I'm like, no, you really ought to smoke it, because there's no guarantee that next year you're even going to be around to smoke that cigar. So why don't you enjoy it? And that's what I tell people. So that ashtray,
I found
get
myself
it dirty,
in it.
use it. Exactly. I'm telling you, until you have something like that happens to you, or know someone that it does happen to, you realize, why am I hanging on to this shit? Let me smoke it now. I want to enjoy it. So that's what I say. Fire it up.
True. Jeff, how's the supply looking as far as the getting in the tobacco with what's going on with the ports and what's happening in Nicaragua and Honduras right now?
All right. So I was literally just talking to Eric Newman about that 2 days ago, because we got a shipment of FSG tobacco over there that we're working on, and we got into that conversation. For us, and for the cigar industry as a whole, shipping has not been the problem. The reason being, when products come out of Nicaragua, the ships leave Honduras and they go to Miami. We have a great governor. We have a great port. Our port stays open. Things move through it. We're not in California. So if we were in California, the story would be different. So we haven't had problems with shipping. However, shipping costs have gone up, because this just supply and demand. These guys know they can charge triple, and they are. So cost for shipping's gone up. Now there is a tightness of labor because the cigar industry is booming, and there's a lot of people that have left Central America to make a run for the border because they know they can. So it's a little tough right now, because you've got a need for more production, but you got people leaving to shoot up through McAllen, Texas, because it's a freeway. There's no stopping. You can come right in, and they'll put you on a plane and a bus and take wherever you want. So we have a wide open border. So I don't blame the people there that are doing it, and they're doing it. So we're losing some production, which also can result in maybe there might be some tobacco tightening up out there, little shortages later. I wouldn't be too worried about that yet, but I'm not really the guy to speak on that side of it, because again, I'm not a manufacturer, don't own a cigar factory. We just work closely with a lot of people that do, and they've been doing a really good job of keeping supply, because let's face it, you've got a big increase in demand, especially during COVID. COVID was very good for cigars. People have a lot more time to smoke cigars. You can smoke a cigar during a Zoom meeting, where if you would have done that in your office, you got fired in the fire department when it came with trucks and stuff, because they thought the place was on fire. So you can smoke a cigar, whatever. So consumption went way up. And a lot of guys, their offices that were closed, relocated to their nearest cigar shop as well with Wi-Fi, right? So you got a big increase in cigar consumption during COVID, where that was happening in Nicaragua as well. So there's tightness of that. Long-term future, I don't know. We've been stacking inventory for a while, making sure we have a good, healthy inventory. There still are brands that are on back order, and but it's not bad, meaning that there's so many great cigars out there. If somebody's out of, let's say, of one particular cigar they usually get, most people have a second or third or fourth choice. So we're not running into it's not like there's no product on the shelf. So we're doing pretty good. And I think 2022 well, again, I don't want to be Nostradamus here, because you don't know what's going to happen. We can spend 3 hours on a discussion of how we got into this position. All right. And we may not be done. So, all right. So if things don't get worse or something else doesn't get released, we should be okay. But 2022 is an election year, and when you run a play that wins the Super Bowl for you 2 years ago, you might run that play again in 2022.
Right. Correct.
Now, are you seeing any thing coming through on your pipeline about the FDA vote that's coming up in March with all that jazz?
That's more of the court case stuff is what more people are watching. Yeah. So that you really don't know about, because that's all Judge I can't remember, Mina or Mara. We'll see what happens on that. My gut feeling is, but it's kind of weird. The last thing that the Food and Drug Administration really needs to be playing around with right now is premium cigars. It's probably about the lowest priority there is for our country.
But they hate
and about the biggest waste of time.
They hate tobacco.
Yeah.
They are anti-tobacco 2 leaders right now.
It still should be an agricultural thing. It shouldn't be a food and drug. It should be agriculture.
Listen, the Food and Drug Administration right now has more things to worry about, such as keeping food on the grocery store shelves.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And keeping the supply of pharmaceutical products in your local drugstore. So they may, who knows, but I'm just saying they have much bigger fish to fry right now. And I think that if they were smart, because there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on the FDA. I'm telling you, there's a microscope. You got guys like Rand Paul and others that are really turning over a lot of evidence, saying, some people need to go to jail with some of the things that are happening. And so
a lot of people need to go.
Let's see where this goes. So if you've got those remember, there's some top officials from the FDA that quit.
Right.
That people try to just sweep under the rug. No, these people quit because they saw things going on that were unethical, and they just could not live with their clear conscience for some decisions that were being made. And so where is this going to play out? We don't know. So I don't think the FDA, their biggest issue right now is that. And like I said, Joe Biden just did a big a Zoom call with the
farmers,
livestock industry for the guys that are doing, chicken.
And he was
beef,
awake
pork.
for that?
He was. But let me tell you, here's the thing. This is where these are the pressure points for any country. Food, security, and energy. Okay? Yeah. When the power starts going off, or there's no gas in the gas stations, or gasoline is twice as much as it used to be, or if there's no food on the shelves, or the food that is there is twice as much as it used to be and you can't afford it, these are the things that destabilize civilizations.
Absolutely.
Okay? So let's think about that is why they're much more concerned about why beef and chicken and pork are 40% more expensive today than they were a year ago.
Yep.
And the farmer that's raising it is getting less money for his product today than he was a year or two ago.
Right.
And I can tell you that from the beef side. Our calves that we're selling today, we're getting paid the same amount as we were 2 years ago, but yet when you buy the beef in the store, it's 40% more. Okay, and here's the thing too, it's controlled by 4 companies. And the pack, that's 85% of the beef in America is controlled by 4 companies.
Wow.
Cargill, Tyson, a National Beef, and JBS, which in those 2 last companies are Brazilian. Okay.
Really?
When it comes to they're not even American companies. So we're talking about monopolies here.
Right.
And there's something called the Stockyards Act from 150 years ago, because this has happened once before. So what I'm telling you is that Biden was on the phone did that meeting with all these guys, because they know there's a food supply chain problem going on.
Right.
You got farmers going out of business. You got processors that are just raking in the money, and the consumers paying way more money for groceries. And listen, your wages are not going up to keep with the pace of fuel and food.
That's right.
So this is why the first part of the FDA is food.
Yeah.
The Food and Drug Administration has some much bigger fish to fry right now than premium cigars. Now, does that mean anything's going to change? I don't know. But all I got to say is, if I was running that ship right now, I'd be like trying to keep as much heat off of me as possible, kicking the can down the road as fast as I can, and let's deal with the other issues at hand. So, but we'll see what happens.
Well, the head guy just stepped down 2 weeks ago. Like you mentioned, he doesn't like the direction it's going, and it looks like he was being out ordered to say what he wanted to go. So he stepped away. He was done. He gave up the fight, which is scary, because he was in there for us, and now he's gone.
Well, the other thing is too is that you have to realize that anything with tobacco control too, big tobacco steers a lot of that. Right. So a lot of the things depend on what happens with big tobacco's position. When I say big tobacco, I'm talking about Philip Morris, that kind of stuff too. So it depends on where those pressures are coming from too. So we'll see. But listen, CRA and PCA have done a wonderful job, and the manufacturers have been supporting this stuff. I think that's really important too, because there's a ton of money that's being spent. This is a marathon, not just a marathon. It's like having a marathon up the Himalaya mountains. This is a tough one, but they're doing it, and you can't stop. That's the biggest thing. You cannot let off, because the second you let off, they work off of pressure. Everything works off of pressure in DC. So you have to keep pressure, because at the end of the day, remember, think about their job, right? You're a bureaucrat. You're getting paid whether you work or not, right? We saw that during COVID. They were all getting paid not working.
Yep.
So you get paid whether you work or not. And then you got this issue in front of you. And it's like, I got the American Cancer Society in my ear over here, and tobacco-free kids over here. And then I got all these cigar guys over here, and all these emails. And all that. You're like, man, let me punt, right? And that's kind of how you get to a punt. If you got nobody over here from the cigar side saying, this is why you're wrong, this is why you're proven, and then you got, they say follow science, right? So then they do these studies, and then they find out, hey man, everything the anti-tobacco people have been telling us about cigars, this shit ain't panning out when we do the tests, when we do the studies. Because they say, oh yeah, a cigar has as much tobacco in it as a pack of cigarettes. By weight, it does. But the difference is, not one of us is inhaling a cigar like a cigarette. Okay? Exactly. Not one of us. But that's not part of the talking point. The talking point is if we just suck down 3 cigars, so we're like a 3-pack-a-day cigarette smoker. That's what they try to do. Well, if we were a 3-pack-a-day cigarette smoker, we'd have emphysema, we'd have lung cancer, and we'd be dying early, right?
Right.
And so they do the tests, they do the studies, and they find out, wait a minute, the cigar guys aren't dying any quicker than the non-cigar guys. We knew these studies. These studies were out. Monograph number 9 by National Cancer Institute. We already knew that if you smoked 1 or 2 cigars a day and didn't inhale, your overall mortality rate was no different than a non-smoker. So we already had that data. So what they tried to do was do more tests, right? They had to do more tests, and hoping they would find, if you pay enough money, sometimes you get a study to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
But sometimes you still can't even get that to happen, right? So in the meantime, they haven't been able to get you that gotcha moment. There's no secret emails. from Corona Cigars saying, hey, we need to market to 7th graders because we're going to get you hooked on a lifetime of cigars. That's the kind of bullshit they're looking for.
Exactly.
Because that's what they'll go back to. Oh, that's what they did with Joe Camel. You know, we did a Camel character to try to get kids to be attracted to cigarettes. And so the anti-tobacco people are trying all these plays that they ran before that worked for the cigarette companies. But cigars, we all know, that ain't what kids aren't coming in the cigar shop.
No,
kids don't smoke premium cigars. They don't even have an urge to do so.
That's
so
right.
They have $11 or $12 to buy a stick, you know, most of the time.
Even if they did, it's not going to do what they want. They want to smoke some vape and stuff. They want to get goofy and stuff. You know what I'm saying? This isn't going to do what they're looking for it to do. So that's why I don't necessarily see, I'm not, the reason I was really fearful when all this stuff happened in 2008, 2009, 2010, is because I'm always looking way down the road, years down the road. Where's this going? Where's this going? And I knew where it was going. And if you aren't there, I always say this in politics, you're either going to be at the table or you're going to be on the menu. And we weren't at the table. And that's why Cigar Rights of America was started. That's why the IPCPR/PCA really got heavy in lobbying, because we knew we had massive exposure out there because we were not at the table. So we had to make sure we had to build that advocacy, and it works. Advocacy, education is the key. And that's why you can't let up. You can never let up, because remember, politicians and the bureaucrats change. They when I say change, meaning that the same guy that knew your issue that was in Congress last year, remember, there's going to be a ton of Democrats retiring this year because they don't think they can win their election. So you got a lot of Democrats that you would educate on the subject. You're going to have a fresh one that comes in. Now you got to educate them again. And so that's why you can never stop, because it's cyclical. So you constantly got to be telling your story and educating the people in Washington and in your state and in your city and in your county on your issues, because the people change.
Correct. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Insurance companies have very deep pockets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They do. And you know what? Here's the good part about when we talk about a change. When we do that, most guys that retire from Congress are done, right? However, this is where it's important when I say city council, county commission, state house, state senate. The guy that starts out as a councilman or county commissioner sometimes becomes your state representative.
Right.
And in Florida, we have term limits. After his term limits for that, he then runs for Senate. Now he becomes a state senator. After that, sometimes a career ends, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they become a congressman. So somebody that you worked with 10 years ago that was on your city council may now be your U.S. congressman, or maybe your U.S. senator.
Right.
Or in some cases, maybe the president. So I'm just telling you is that it's not time or money or effort wasted, because these guys, you can see it in every one of your things,
Right.
So in every one of your states. So that's why it's a lot of work, but it's important, and it pays off in the long run.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what we try to do, is we try to educate the people on this show and talk about it and trying to get the word out. We need to just constantly get the word out, and everybody who enjoys the smoke needs to get involved. And like you said, talk to the local politicians, because it's not just the same group of people. It's everybody who enjoys to smoke one way or another has to get involved in this.
We have a quick question from the audience. Yolanda wants to know, Jeff, will you ever run for the office?
I have no intention on doing that. I maybe once my kids are like out of college, if the calling was there, but it's really not. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people are not. They don't realize how much work it is to be a congressman. U.S. congressman is the one that takes a lot of work, and I'll tell you, it's because there's a 2-year cycle. They have to campaign. As soon as they win an election, they got to start campaigning again. And so people always say, "Oh yeah, they're off for 30 days." No, they're not. They're back in their district. They're doing district meetings, and then they're campaigning. So, and you're traveling to DC all the time. So unless you want to live your life on the road for those 2 years, that would be difficult. Now, the only thing that would spur me on in a state position is if something I saw was so wrong in my city or in my county or in my district that I'm like, you know what, I'm going to run. This is just out of, and that's generally what gets conservatives to run for office. If you talk to a lot of conservatives, they didn't want to be politicians because it's in the nature of a conservative to not want to be in other people's business, which is what the government mostly is. So, I mean, it's no different. If you look at like class presidents in government, student body government, they're all the people that have some kind of cause in their mind that they want to save or whatever. Most of the guys that are conservative are like, dude, they just want to get out of school and go do their other thing, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So in real life, it's the same way. Most conservatives just don't want to get involved in politics. However, if you see something that, you know, somebody's got to do this, that really is when it becomes public service, because it's like, man, we got to do something here, because you can just see that the next generation doesn't have that opportunity, or you can see sometimes it's like they don't have that freedom anymore. It's like, oh, we used to be able to do this, now you can't, and so that's the only way I would get involved. But I really don't have a burning desire at all to be to run for office or anything, but I have a burning desire to influence, or let me put it this way. Orlando is totally Democrat, but yet we won the award for the top from the Orange County Republican Committee that we were the business of the year because we support, even though we're in a Democrat district, but we're really hardcore conservatives, and that's okay, even though we're surrounded by Democrats. Even if I was in Chicago, it'd be the same way, because it's not like people have this misnomer that because you're not like if you're a Republican and the other guy's a Democrat, you hate them. It's like, that's crazy talk. We just have a different philosophy on things. We love each other and we're neighbors, right? We live in the community, but that's why you got to have different positions advocated for, because otherwise there's only one side doing the talking. And so that's why in Orlando we got to be that other voice, because otherwise things can go sideways real quick, you know? So, I mean, for a good example is like defund the police. Like, well, no one wants to see an innocent guy get shot or killed or choked or a bad cop. No one wants to do that. But the answer isn't to get rid of the cops. This is crazy, because you know what's going to happen? You're going to get robbed. Not only is Corona Cigar going to get robbed, our employees are going to walk out to the car. It's going to be broken into. Our customers are going to get mugged on the way from the freaking parking lot. They're going to go home, and their house is going to be robbed. Nobody wants that, right? But the news,
yeah, you're going to have the
exactly. So
patients
it's like,
running the asylum.
Yeah, and so that's why you have to speak up when you see things like that crazy going on. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. And even most Democrats and even the people that were, you know, active in this were like, wait a minute, we want some police reform, but this whole talk about freaking get rid of the police is crazy talk. And now you're seeing like mayors of San Francisco saying, whoa, we need more police. This was a bad experiment, didn't work. This is crazy. And so, but you really didn't have to take a year to figure that out. Anybody with some common sense could have said, you know, this isn't the answer, right? So anyway, that's why you need to be the voice of reason, even though that might not be the most popular position at the time, right. But you got to be rational about things. And so that's why we're active.
Well, thank you for your activity, Jeff, because it means a lot to the rest of us. You're in the heart of it. You it's your business, it's your livelihood, and everyone needs to get involved. So appreciate that information, and it was all good stuff, and everything you said. I think the four of us could agree more. So thank
Absolutely.
you. Oh yeah.
So let me flip this back on you real quick. The reason why I sponsor your support and support other the shows that are out there is because you guys are an important part of what we just talked about. Is that it's the cigar community, it's the shows that people are spending their free time talking about cigars and whiskey and the cigar lifestyle. This is what we're talking about. Why it should be protected, and why I'm pretty sure there's not a show right now where guys are sitting around talking about how great their Marlboro is. Right? The lifestyles are different, right? And so that's why these shows are important, where you can talk, you'll have people that have no idea what cigars are, no idea what a cigar shop is, no idea about the lifestyle. And then they're like, really? There's cigar shows? Really? There's people that look, and yes, this is a community, right? And so once they open their eyes to it, that's why it's the advocacy. That's where we were getting beat in the past. In the 80s, we were really getting beat because you had this thing called the Truth Campaign. It was financed by the tobacco taxes. We're running these ads on MTV, and they had like ice cream trucks selling cigarettes and all this other bullshit. And that's where they kept saying, they didn't say cigarettes, kept saying tobacco. All tobacco's bad. All tobacco's bad. So they threw us in this category like we were doing something wrong. Well, we weren't. And so that's why it's important for shows like yours and all of the, what I just call positive media.
Right.
Because that's the antidote for the lies that are being told from what the worst is tobacco-free kids. They are the worst. And so, but once they get exposed, they got to revise their stuff because they don't want, we've embarrassed them a few times up in DC where they'll have their talking points in their papers and we'll say, this is a lie, this is a lie, this is a lie, and they're going to show you why. And so, you know, these agencies that would have all these, you know, acronyms of all these cancer societies and everything else, they're supposed to be credible. And politicians don't like that when you have a congressman saying, listen, you guys are freaking lying to me. I just had the guy in here and they showed us. They literally unrolled the cigar. It's not what you say it is. They don't like that, right? And so when the enemy of our industry starts saying, wait, man, we can't be lying because these guys are literally going up to D.C. and they're showing that what we just said isn't true. So now it makes like everything they say is a lie.
Right.
So that's why it's real important that we do that and continue to do that. Yes. And so again, you guys play a big part of it.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. Thanks for the support.
And speaking of cigar lounges and getting back to all that stuff, hey Jeff, could you let our audience know like the locations of your lounges and where they can go and enjoy a nice cappuccino and cigar if they're in and out of the Orlando area? So tell us a bit about your locations.
So in Orlando, if you're staying anywhere near Walt Disney World or Universal Studios, which is a lot of people don't realize that Disney is not downtown Orlando. That's the tourist area, okay, convention and tourist area. Our store on Sand Lake Road is in that area, but it's also right up is a real big, solid community of homes here. So you know, Bay Hill Golf Course, where Arnold Palmer and all that stuff is right up the road too. So it's not like it's not like we're on the Strip in Vegas where it's nothing but you know big hotels. We're in a community with people that live here, right? So Sand Lake store is near all that. Then the real downtown Orlando is downtown. It's not downtown Disney. It's downtown Orlando. We have a store right there on Orange Avenue, which in Orlando, Orange Avenue is Main Street. Okay. City Hall, you can see it from our store. So we're right there, smack dab downtown Orlando. And that store we built there because it's a place for adults to have a cocktail and talk and meet. There's a lot of nightclubs around us. So that's real, you know, if kids want to go bump and grind and everywhere, well, that's over there. But if you want to have a cigar and talk to your buddies, we're here. But it's great people watching though, because it's amazing. So anyway, so that's our downtown Orlando store. And then in the northern part of Orlando is Lake Mary Heathrow area, which is we have a store in that area. So that's sort of one of the bedroom communities of Orlando, more towards the north of it. And then in Tampa, we have the Davidoff Tampa. That store is right kind of in the area where the airport is, and it's on Boy Scout Boulevard where all the restaurants. It's like the restaurant row of Tampa. So so that's, you visit any Orlando, Tampa, whatever, and even if you're not, it's worth a drive to come over here, have a nice cigar, and and everybody's welcome. We're very diverse and welcoming. The cigar stores are big enough where a stranger can come in, and you will not feel like you're encroaching on anybody. And what's funny is that a lot of times we do run out of seats because it's pretty damn busy. My wife, when she's there at night, she'll be like, "Hey, do you mind?" Because she'll see an empty chair, but one guy sitting there, and she'll be like, "Hey, do you mind if a couple guys join you?" And so literally, but then people become friends, and you know, it's like really cool because next thing you know, they're like, whoa, that's so anyway. And at the same time, she filled the seat and made a customer happy, and we sold some more drinks. So anyway, that's how.
Got a winner there. You got a winner there.
All the time.
I mean, I can tell you this: I've made some of my best friends at a cigar lounge. You know, they just walked in there smoking, and then you strike up a conversation. And you got a lot in common with the leaf, and you become good friends, and you exchange numbers, and they become your smoking buddies.
Very true. But sometimes if there's only like 5 or 6 seats and there's like 4 people there and there's only one left, you don't know anybody there. Sometimes like, it can be a little intimidating sometimes. But we, our whole thing is to make sure that everybody, man, woman, young, old, whatever, people feel welcome. That's the key. And so, like I said, we have a very interesting, diverse group of customers, and that's what we wanted. That was always the intention, day one.
The staff definitely welcomes
I have
everybody.
I have a question for you, Jeff, because I know I'm going to put you on the spot here. But
you may want to run, Jeff. Run.
No, I mean, obviously, selling and retailing so many different cigar lines over the years. Could you give me like 5 cigars that you would put that you've had that have been so special to you? And it might have been on an occasion that you wound up smoking it, or with someone that really just always brings a memory. Because I think smoking a cigar with someone, or even if it's by yourself, and it's that cigar and whatever that cigar reminds you of, if you have those that are just special, and it doesn't mean that you're excluding the thousands of others, but there's just those moments.
Yeah, that's a great one, because interesting, Sunday I was going through my humidor at the house here, and actually went through some of that stuff. So that's an easy question for me. Avo 75th, Avo 22, Avo 77. The 75th, because that's when I met Avo, when he was 75. He passed when he was 90. And so the 75th was, we did a birthday event for him at our Sandlink store. And then the 77th I loved because it was I just loved the taste of that cigar. The Avo 22, again, very, very special cigar. We kind of replicated that in our Boris 11. But I don't think we have any more Boris 11s, and I don't know what we're going to do about that, because once Avo passed, that he was our guy on that. So anyway, that. And then I have a box of Stanford 90s. That was when Stanford Newman was alive too. He was a mentor of mine as well. That's Eric and Bobby Newman's father. And so I have a box of his 90th, which is a diamond crowned with a Cameron wrapper on it. So that's another one. So those are the ones right off the top of my head. And then I was showing my kids something pretty cool too. They didn't even know I had it. I've got some boxes of Cuesta from when they were born. They're the Crystal Aristocrats that Eric Newman made for me, and they have the they have It's a Boy on it and their birthday. So I showed them that. I said when you guys turn 18, you want to smoke these things? And they didn't know I had them. Maybe I shouldn't have shown them to them. I should have waited. They were standing right next to me, so I couldn't. So anyway, so I showed it to them, and then it was pretty cool too. There's a Drew Estate Liga Privada that Marvin Semmel had for his first wedding, and called Bouchard. It's a Jewish term, and so I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it was a Liga Privada, sort of like a pig, like a flying pig. Okay. And I'm going to see Marvin here in a couple weeks. He's now a movie producer. He made a movie that's being premiered on next Thursday. So I think I'm going to bring one of those down and smoke it with him.
Nice.
Oh, I like that.
So anyway, so yeah, no, and I think we all probably have cigars like that, but at least, I mean, for me, I do, and each one of those brings a memory. But also, it was funny when my kids were there. I said, "Should I smoke this now?" Because it was going through my head too, man. I don't want to. Shit, I might die, and I might have this box and never even smoke. But I opened the lid, and there was only 4 cigars left in it. So obviously, I already cracked into it. So I'm like, all right, I'll hold off on this. Maybe we'll see.
I got one last question for you, Jeff, and this is going to be kind of a fun question. Now, with your cigar lounges being there in Orlando, I know a lot of celebrities like to frequent your lounges too. What has been one of the best celebrities that came to your shop and you were like absolutely amazed and like wow, this guy actually took the time to come and visit me?
All right, you're gonna laugh. I'd say 2 of them. The one that was just like wild for me. I used to watch wrestling on Saturday mornings when I was a kid.
I did too.
And my dad used to take us to professional wrestling on Sundays at a place called 80 Grand Sports Stadium.
Yeah.
And I mean, this back when everybody was smoking cigarettes and everything. I mean, it was like, now they have smoke machines to replicate this. This is back when cigarette smoke was everywhere. So anyway, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Man, I used to be able to sing all of his sayings, right? The bionic elbow and all that crazy stuff. So one day, I was working at the store. I was at night. We're in the office and we got cameras and stuff. And dude, I saw him in the cameras. And so and then I'm like, Dusty Rhodes in the store. No shit. So what it was is at Universal Studios, they were filming TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. And so Dusty Rhodes was already retired, but what he was the talent guy, bringing the new wrestlers in. So he'd come into the store with his wrestling guys, and they smoke cigars. And I went out there and I sold him cigars because he was just kind of getting into cigars.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, meeting Dusty Rhodes, I was a huge fan. And so then he sent me some pictures and signed and stuff, and so Dusty Rhodes was dude, that was pretty cool. And the other one is Steve Harvey. So Steve Harvey rolls in one day.
Yes.
That was pretty cool. And I'll tell you why. Because Steve Harvey rolls in, and he was staying over at the Ritz-Carlton. He was supposed to play golf that morning, and it was raining. So him and his group of guys came in, and Steve was just the nicest guy. He was just like he is on TV. I mean, identical. His persona is the same, which is not that common, by the way.
Right.
A lot of times you'll see guys on TV, but in reality they might be a little shy, they might be a little quiet. But Steve Harvey was exactly like you'd see him on Family Feud or anything like that. So anyway, he was getting into cigars and he was getting into whiskey and stuff. And so we spent a lot of time talking about cigars and whiskey, and that was pretty damn cool. So Steve Harvey and Dusty Rhodes. Now we have had tons of athletes in the stores.
Right.
Sure.
I'm not really into sports, so unless they're like 7 feet tall, which a lot of guys are to come in, or guys that I just say, dude, you must have played football because you look like you can bench press about 900 pounds, and sure enough, they usually do. So yeah, we get. In the Tampa store, gets tons of athletes too. I think we get more athletes at the Tampa store, more retired baseball and football players there, but we get a bunch of them in Sand Lake too. So, but again, I don't follow sports as much. So there's a lot of sports celebrities out there, but those two were my favorites, and we've had movie guys and shit. We've had Al Sharpton in the store. We've had everybody. Listen, we've had some.
I don't know if you want to mention
a wild mix of guys in the store. So, but
that's awesome.
So anyway, it's you never know who you're going to meet, and it's always an interesting conversation.
Well, that's the best thing about cigar lounges. You're right. You don't know who's going to come in and sit down next to you, and you can have a conversation about anything and everything because it's a level playing field with everybody. Which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, do you mind if you hang out a little bit? We're going to do our segment called Smoke the Chooch.
Do your segment. I'll stick around. I still got a little bit of my cigar.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you.
For tonight's giveaway, we're going to go for Don't Be a Chooch, Smoke the Chooch.
That's awesome. You got to raise it up a little bit there. There you go.
Cool,
there you go.
T-shirt, obviously, for all of us chooches here. So
from our family to yours.
Hang on a second. I need you to explain that to me because my best friend in college. My best friend in college used to always call his cousin Chooch. Now he's Jewish. Is that like a Jewish term?
No, Chooch.
It's an Italian term.
Chooch looks like. A Chooch is a donkey.
A donkey.
And our Chooch just happens to smoke cigars.
Yes.
And we have 3 chooches, and I'm just a beginner chooch. So I'm like on the low rung of the chooch scale. So they're donkey. It does mean donkey in Italian.
Yes. Yeah.
But is that a term of endearment or is that an insult when you call someone chooch?
Both. It could go both ways. Yeah, it goes.
And who you saying it to?
Right.
Yeah, it's like aloha. It means goodbye and hello. You know.
He used to say it to his cousin that lived with us, so he was like it was a term of. He'd always call you chooch. So anyway, all right. Thanks for the explanation.
He's the chooch of the family.
All right.
Go ahead, Frank. Start. Give us, and Jeff, feel free for the next 3 or 4 questions. Answer them. This way, Frank doesn't make you like a chooch. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Frank.
no. If you have the answer, please feel free to jump in. So back on this date in history, I'm kind of like a little bit of a history buff. In 1990, it had been 38 years since the last time a luxury car won a Car of the Year award. This year, what car had made history on that very day when it received the very award by Motor Trend magazine?
1990.
1990, and it had been 38 years since the last time a luxury car.
Really?
Yes.
Lexus?
In 1990, Ron? I don't think
I
so.
don't know. Car of the year, maybe. I don't know.
Mercedes?
Nope.
Cadillac?
Nope. All chooches. The Lincoln Town Car.
Really?
Oh yeah. Bruce had it.
Bruce
Bruce had Lincoln
Stark had. Of course, he's doing his homework. He's ready already.
Bruce is always ready.
2022, Jeff. You got to watch out for Bruce Stark. He's an avid listener, and he does his homework.
Well, Bruce comes from the heart of car industry, Michigan.
That's true.
So
Yeah,
he better know this.
He's Mr. Detroit there.
True.
That was a good car, by the way.
It was.
Oh yeah.
The
It had
town
a trunk
car,
the
it was.
size of
That's
a.
why every limousine, the limousine guys, the Crown Victoria taxis were built on the same platform too. That was I can just bring back days when we worked on that stuff. That was a very good car. A lot of them are probably still running too.
That trunk you could hold like 3 bodies. I mean, 3 big suitcases.
Okay, we're going to add a little bit to the prize tonight. Not only is there going to be a chooch shirt, but one of our sponsors, Alan Gold, had just said he'll throw in a personal ashtray by Lotus.
Oh,
nice.
There you go. Nice.
So,
Up the ante. Up the
and
ante.
a personal ashtray from Lotus, from our man Alan Gold.
Beautiful.
Wow, very good. Thank you,
Beautiful.
Alan.
Okay, chooches, here's another one for you. On this date in history, obviously January 4th, 1958, this man became the first to conquer Mount Everest. And then he reached the South Pole at the bottom of the world.
Wow. The top of the world or the bottom of the world, huh?
That's a
You know, the
tough
South Pole's having a COVID outbreak right now. I'm dead serious. When you get done, look it up.
one. Wow.
And nobody should go out.
Nobody goes
2 of
out
them.
anyway.
Yeah.
All two people.
All 2 of them had COVID.
So no answers. That's good. I'm sure Bruce has the answer.
Well, Bruce said Hillary, but I don't know about
Sir Edmund Hillary. Sir Edmund Hillary.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bruce is on fire.
Man, Bruce.
Bruce
Wow.
is on fire. I got another one for you. Back to 1955. This version of this car company's automobile were being manufactured to that date. This was called the Caribbean, and it was the most noted automobile produced. What are you doing? Why are you answering? He sees the answer.
I don't see the answer. I know that.
Come on. Yeah. Come on.
I can't see
Bob
that
can't see.
answer.
Bob
I
can't
know
see
that.
nothing.
What? This isn't for the audience.
Yeah, Bob can't see anything. So
Oh, that's true. He can't. He
I
can't see
but
that.
I know this stuff.
All right. Yeah, he's not supposed to
Y'all are
answer.
showing your age with these questions.
I know, Jeff.
I know.
All right.
Well,
I'll do something more contemporary.
Bob was like 40 years old in
No, when that
1955.
happened. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, I'm going to go back to 1998. So this North American storm begins in Canada, and with freezing rain falling over an area of several thousand square miles of eastern Ontario. What happened during this ice storm?
And
What did it cause? 1998. It was an ice storm, massive.
Power outage?
Yes, it was a massive power outage. This storm basically disrupted power. Millions were without power.
I think it affected
Thousands
down
of
here
power
too,
lines
wasn't
and
it?
pylons
Yeah.
broke,
Yeah.
and travel in many cases where basically state of emergencies were declared, and that's where they said that we were having that whole thing with the power grid.
Power grid, yeah, I remember that.
He said it got cold. That was his answer.
It did get cold, but it showed our
I
vulnerability.
remember in the 70s. So you remember in the 70s when they said we were entering an ice age?
Oh yeah.
Right. Yes.
That was
In the
before
early
my
70s,
time.
that was it.
Yeah.
They were worried about global cooling, saying we were going to enter an ice age. So who knows?
Tracy Bruce said,
And look at us now.
3.5 million people, Quebecians, without power.
Right.
3.5 million. Thanks,
Wow.
Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
All right, Frank, let's get it for the audience.
You got it. You
right.
got it. We're
First
coming.
Call Ashtray by Lotus.
Hey, Frank, be careful which slide you put up there. Make
Yeah,
sure it's
I'll
not...
be careful this time. Okay, and Kyle, can I please have my theme music? My theme song.
I don't have the
we don't have the choice. Okay, here's the question.
Huge.
Here's the question, and I'm going to give you a visual aid for this because I know some people could read better than they listen. So here we go. January 4th, 1955, this television celebrity signs a $5 million contract with CBS, folks.
Ooh, I got it.
Too bad you can't answer, Ron.
Anybody? Oh man, Google's working
They're
hard.
Googling
tonight.
like crazy. They're going $5 million contract.
Alexa.
Alexa.
Tony Romo.
Ed Sullivan, no. Bruce Stark.
Hey, Jackie Gleason.
Of course, Bruce Stark with the answer.
honeymoon.
All right.
It
There you go.
is.
Nice.
What did we tell you? Bruce Stark is always the man to watch out with.
He's on
these
fire
things.
tonight.
He's on fire.
Yeah.
There he goes.
Bruce
he does it
wins it.
again. He does it again. Bruce does it again.
See,
He
he's
was the
using up
best
all his.
in
Bruce Stark is using
gonna
up all
say
his
Smokey and the
answers in the
Bandit.
beginning.
Smokey and the Bandit. He had some great
Bruce is
movies.
going to need a warehouse after all the stuff he wins from us. I mean, really. Where does he put it all?
Congratulations, Bruce. Congratulations. Jeff, hey, what can we tell you? We can, thank you. Thank you for the sponsorship. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you
And,
for the partnership. Thank you
yes.
so much.
Yes.
Thank you for the lounges.
Well, like I
Thank
said,
you
I
for the
appreciate
lounges.
I appreciate what you guys are doing, man. You guys play an important role. I said that before, and I appreciate it. And I really enjoy watching your show and the way it's grown and stuff. You guys are just
Thank you.
you have a very positive vibe too, man. Your laughter is contagious, and I just think it's very good. It's you are we need more people like that. So anyway.
Thank
It
you.
makes some of the stiffies out there lighten up.
We're going to use
Good
that
job.
as a tagline.
Yeah, there you go. We're not like the stiffies out there.
We make all stiffies lighten up, or we make
Whoa,
them
easy
go
now, Frank.
No, we
Easy,
make
Frank.
them go limp. So that's our motto.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, and we hope to have you on again soon.
We want to visit you over at the farm. So
Yeah,
we'd love
yeah.
to have
Yeah.
you on the farm.
Yeah.
We'll bring the equipment out to you
Yeah.
and do maybe have some of your people who work at the farm on. We'd love to be able to do that.
So let's do it in the spring. We're getting ready to. I meant to shoot a video today, but we're getting ready to chop all the stalks down. So we're at the end of this one. We're prepping for another crop. So springtime would be a great time to have you guys out.
Excellent.
Beautiful,
Excellent.
yeah.
We look forward to it, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Anyway, folks, thank you so much for joining us on our first 2022 show. We got lots of great stuff coming up this year. A lot of new people. And again, thank you, Jeff, to your entire staff, because I know you like to say that. It is a team effort.
Yeah.
And thanks to Corona Cigar Company.
And don't forget, go to coronacigar.com cigardom.com and order from Jeff himself.
And keep up with all the events. Keep up with all the events.
Absolutely.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Jeff.
Have a great
night,
evening.
everybody.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
Perdomo Taj Mahal here. You know?
It really is.
They're stopping by. Oh, I heard about you. I smoke your cigars. I love it.
That's the short story behind how Kristoff got started. It's actually named after our son, Christopher.
We're infamous for our packaging. Everybody knows Gurkha's got the best packaging, the most beautiful labels.
All your listeners out there, thank you. Be careful, be safe, and God bless you.
Long ashes and slow burns, my friend.
There you go.
Tell my brothers to line them up. We'll drink that whiskey from those old dirty cups. We'll toast to the present, the future, and the past. This ain't my first drink, but I sure it ain't my last. 'Cause this world is so beautiful. I see its love come shining through. This world is so beautiful.